Welcome to episode 25 of DJ Center Stage TV. I'm Jim Collins. He's a third-generation pro singer, actor, and performer. This local Philly boy owns and operates a 20-year event planning company named A-Sharp Production. He's a keynote speaker for talent and production conventions around the country and a two-time winner of the DJ Times Entertainer of the Year competition. He inspires many thousands of up-and-coming entertainers with his outside-of-the-box performances and interaction with energy, elegance, and excellence. Here is Adam Weitz.
Good morning, Jim.
How are you? What's happening?
Great.
All right, Adam, I have to begin by saying I have been catching the live broadcasts you post on Facebook and watching some footage of you singing on YouTube.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Sean Big Daddy McKee, he's publicly shared with the DJ industry and in conversations with me that you were a huge inspiration and continue to be so for him.
That's probably because when I was first getting involved in the DJ convention industry, I had been there entertaining on the stage, and this is when Sean had just started coming. So I was there maybe just a couple years before he came, and when he saw me up on the stage, you know, I guess in most entertainers' minds, they have not yet taken the step to entertain in front of their peers. That's kind of what I've been doing my whole life since I've been, I don't know, probably 5 years old. So get up on stage in front of my peers is kind of like my wheelhouse.
Okay.
And, so when I met Sean, he was younger and he was filled with energy, and he just had this spirit about him. So I think we all knew that Sean was going to be one of the great spirits of the game.
He does have that presence, and he's like a magnet. I mean, anyone he comes into contact with, they gravitate towards him.
I think fair enough to say that he has such a passion, not just for the DJ industry, but he has a passion to be there for people. And overall, that is the essence of life, is to give back. And that's just something he does very naturally. My nickname for him has been Saint Sean. It's always been that way. And Herb. I don't know if anybody knows that that's one of his first names is Herb. Jonathan, Sean, Herbert, McKee.
Okay, there you go. I mean, coming from Sean, who I was honored to shadow a wedding he did, and seeing the level of talent he has and performs from right here. To say that about you, though, I wanted to speak with you.
Well, that's a very flattering way to be able to get to this point, to be able to interview with you. I certainly know that Sean is a good inspiration to many. So if he leads off by making a compliment about me, I'm extremely honored.
So I was really drawn to your wedding footage of your first dance. It's one of the coolest things I have seen. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, coming from a line of entertainers, it would, I guess, be a footprint for an entertainer to entertain, even if it's his own wedding. It wasn't a plan of mine.
Okay.
I had a first dance chosen. The song was called "Amazed" by Lone Star. It was something that my wife Kasha and I loved very much.
Nice.
And when we were going to do the first dance, I really made a decision that I wasn't going to sing, and I was going to let my band play the song out. They sing it very well. They've sung it a million times at that time when it was really popular.
Sure. And
I just looked at them and I said, "Give me the mic." And my female vocalist Ramona says, "Oh, here he goes." And I sang to her. But I'll tell you what was interesting. It was a very unique experience for me. The footage was great, got a lot of hits, and certainly people have enjoyed seeing that authenticity.
Yes.
When I was singing to her, honestly, you ever hear that terminology, "We were the only ones in the room"? That was the exact sensation that She and I were the only ones there.
I was wondering about if it was set up where it was a surprise for her, but it was you in the moment too, deciding right then and there, I'm going to do this right now. And,
Yes.
And that's
yeah. It wasn't planned that I was going to sing, but just drawn to grab the mic and sing to her was something that I do. My wife likes when I serenade her.
That's awesome.
The first time I did it. But at our wedding, again, you go back to singing in front of your colleagues. Well, I had about maybe a third of the room were colleagues. So to be able to do that in front of them, you know, was also very heartfelt. And it was just a great moment. It was awesome. So I'm pleased that seemed to be a contagious emotional share.
Absolutely. And you can see your wife wiping the tears away, you know, as your serenader too, the emotion captured right there. I just thought it was awesome. So
thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I mean, it's really easy to follow a routine when performing at an event. So whether you are a frontman in a band, a master of ceremonies, or a DJ, people can easily just do the same old because it's comfortable, predictable, or they know it'll work. So how do you avoid this at your events, and how difficult is it to find inspiration and while being creative?
Well, I'll tell you, this is something that I've consistently tried to teach my entertainers in-house, and it's what I make always part of my seminars when teaching, is that you have to be outside the box in everything that you do. Just taking a kind of like a side tangent for a moment, I have had entertainers in-house and have met entertainers outside that really have this backbone of confidence, and that is fantastic. And then that can also be your worst enemy, because when you get too comfortable thinking that you have seen it all, you've done it all, you've said it all, and that you just are able to go out there and do your routine, you will find that after you do it enough, people start to break away and want something different. That's the essence of life. If you go to a restaurant, it's the same restaurant. Some people love it because it's comfortable. So you're going to find clients that are very comfortable with that same routine. But I would say that the majority of the people like something different. So when you're taking information from a client, one of the things that, of course, MCs and event planners love to do is to talk. When really, one of the things that I've been taught is you get your most value from listening.
Right.
You have to listen. And when someone mentions something about their life, or where they came from, or their occupation, or I don't know, like where they went to college, or the guests that are going to be there, when you ask certain questions about the guests, the location of your party, where they're going on their honeymoon, or if it's a mitzvah, what are the interests of the guest of honor, the theme itself. My goodness, the theme is the first thing that you want to try to work off of. You can really get different ideas just from that. That doesn't mean you have to change your format, meaning, you know, there's going to be a cocktail hour, there's going to be a time that you do your entrances and opening dances, there's going to be times that you are dancing people and doing formalities, but ultimately you want to just try to create a small margin that's going to differentiate that particular formality from other formalities you've done at other events. So, for example, we had twin boys at this mitzvah that we did, and twin boys is called a b'nai mitzvot. And these twin boys had to take turns dancing with mom. So what I did was I took $5 out of my pocket, I gave it to one of the boys, and as the one's dancing with mom, I send in the other boy, and he taps the kid on the shoulder, and he hands him $5, and he goes, "Get out." Just lost it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The other son started dancing with the mom. Well, what if you were doing, am I going to do another b'nai mitzvah? Yes. Is one going to take turns dancing with the other? Yes. But it was just that one little thing, that small little variable,
right,
that not only made a difference that the guests were going to remember, but it's now on film. And let's not forget, when you put things on multimedia, it spreads more like wildfire today than it ever did.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Just come up with little things. If you have an idea in your head, don't be shy about it. You know, really try to come up with something that's going to make that party different. And what you'll find is that the clients, future clients, are drawn to you because they know that you're going to make their party a signature type of event, not what we commonly call a cookie cutter, because there's many different companies that may feel comfortable doing the same packages, the same routine, playing the same songs, the same sets, saying the same things on the mic. And that's fine, I think, if you're younger, because when our young master of ceremonies are kind of trying to find their place in the world, they need to emulate another person. So they normally kind of hear the training that they get by watching the other MCs. Ultimately, they will come up with their own routines, and then you're going to watch them and help critique them to keep them focused. But you want them to create their own entity, be their own person.
That's a good point, Adam. Going back to that example with the two twins, now, was that in that specific example, was that something that you were in the moment to just do right then and there, or was that planned out ahead of time?
Wasn't planned.
Wasn't planned, okay.
I thought of it and reacted to it. Now, there's a danger to and it can be a complete fail.
Sure.
It really depends on your, kind of like your risk margin. You know, something that you say, or it could be too risque, or maybe it was out of place, or maybe people just didn't get it. So there is a margin to it, but I think as you get more experience, you'll know what's going to work and what's not. You know, I think sometimes, and this may happen more often than none, when an MC gets a little more confident on the microphone, you will find that they start to talk more. So at first, we try to teach them that old adage, the KISS theory, keep it simple, stupid, or, you know, keep it simple, schmucky. See, you didn't laugh. That could have failed at a party. So
I did laugh. You just didn't hear it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So when you go to say something on the microphone and you think it's going to be funny, you have to ask yourself, is it something that everyone's going to be able to relate to, or is it funny to you and your industry? So you really have to kind of figure out what's going to be appropriate. And then there's some people that go and they say things, or they'll do actions that they think is great, but you could very well offend somebody. So you have to kind of take that margin. There's at some mitzvahs, there are performance companies that literally will pick the mother up off the floor and spin her around. And you'll see some of the crowd go, woo, that's awesome. And then there's actually a percentage of people that be like, I can't believe they're doing that to her dress. And maybe the mother said, wow, that was fun. But like after a while, she was a little embarrassed.
Sure.
So you're never going to make everybody happy.
Right.
And it's just a margin of things. That's why I will not pick up the mother. I will dance with her, and I'll get people to party it up with her in ways that keep her feet flat.
Right. But you mentioned there are some things that you will do that may be off color at the time in the moment, but I think that you probably get a good intuition and gut feeling too when you're there, if you know the couple or the client well enough too, or a good sense of getting to know who they are, whether or not to do those things as well.
Putting the little brother on your shoulders is huge. That's things I love. Now the risk to that, obviously, I'm sure we could all figure out, but when putting the brother on the shoulders, there's a couple things that can happen marketing wise. One, the attention for the brother is magnanimous. You know, people are going to look at him in awe. And the other goal is that he feels that he is getting now some attention that he has not been getting because his older sister or older brother, who's the mitzvah, is getting all the attention. So it's nice to do things to get people to focus on the family as a whole. It's just one of the things that you like to do. And the risk, obviously, is, you know, the kid may not be comfortable being lifted up high, and then all of a sudden starts to cry, and then you're like, hashtag fail. So
right. So what is your favorite type of event to perform at, and why?
Well, you know what, and this is going to sound as conceited as it gets, and I'm sorry in advance, because I think that people that know me personally know that this is not the case, but I've done so many different kinds of events my whole life. I hit Plymouth Rock long before a lot of people. I was in this industry when I was like little bitty kid, and that's before, you needed working papers. If people my age remember when we were young and working, like you saw the little kid working in the grocery store, or you saw somebody helping their parents when they were young, that was me. So I was schlepping gear and playing all different types of parties. I was exposed to so many different ones. So when you ask me what's my favorite one to play, I'm not going to tell you what kind of event. I'm going to tell you the spirit of the event.
Okay.
Spirit of the event does not revolve around how much money they're spending, how much they can fit into a room production-wise, the size of the production. But the best kind of event I enjoy to work is when everyone loves to interact with each other, to dance, to celebrate. And like when I'm on the microphone and I'm saying something about the guest of honor, I'm not making it about me, but like we mentioned, I'll take a little risk. I'll crack a joke. Everyone's cracking up. The guest of honor feels special. When I want people to go from point A to point B, it's like, shoo, and you end on a high note, and your dance floor is packed at the end of the night. Those are the parties that I truly remember, that I value, and I would love more of.
So mitzvahs, we were talking a little bit about that, backing up a little bit. So in your opinion, easier or harder than weddings, and why, if so?
All right, so okay, so like when Sean had his mitzvah seminar this past summer at the convention, you have a lot of people that go in there, and Jordan Marshall from Explosive, who was one of the people that were entertaining, got on the microphone and said, how many people want to make more money? How many people want to learn about this industry? And there were so many people that raised their hands. If you're starting from scratch and you're wanting to get into this industry, the first thing that you're going to need is not tangible. It's spiritual. You have to understand the industry. You have to be able to look at what they're doing even from the religious sense, and get an idea as to what you need to do to contribute to that ceremony, which is the celebration of a young man or a young boy or girl becoming a man or woman in the eyes of God. It's a celebratory experience, and that's basically it. However, to answer the other half of your question is that, if once you get that experience, once you feel comfortable, then really the sky's the limit. And I laugh at this because it's amazing that in today's world in America, and it might be a different statistic outside these walls, but when you are an entertainer in the mitzvah industry, your statistic of being able to book more items, more items, more things that can create magic for you, for the clients, is so much more than weddings today, because the mentality for weddings is not as statistically hardcore as mitzvahs. They're going to have a mitzvah. Today, there's smaller weddings, destination weddings. You elope, you could go to Vegas, and some people don't start getting married now until much later because they know that the children want to kind of get to their careers more. It takes two people to run a household today. Okay, so unless you're part of the 1% that can financially take care of the entire family, you need two incomes. So what do they do to get those incomes? They have to go to more schooling. They have to work as interns in their mid to late 20s, where they used to get married in their young 20s. So there's so many things that you can do to sell mitzvahs, but for weddings, it's taking such different shapes. There are the $100,000 plus weddings. I get it. But there's just as many weddings that are a little more intimate or destination created, you know, when you're doing destination weddings that don't involve such a big, and then they say, okay, we're going to be courteous to our friends and family that couldn't participate, and we're going to have like a fun dance party. That's an excuse not really to spend any money. So, but with mitzvahs, if you really want to know the Jewish families, when the kids turn around and they come from another affair that they just went to, and they say, oh, Mom, Dad, I just saw this thing. You know, it starts off like this, and it explodes and becomes this, and then starts to, you know, and all of a sudden the parents are like, oh, my goodness, like, what does this cost? And you're like, oh, it's nothing. It's $2,200 for 30 minutes. And they're like, $2,200 for 30 minutes? Like, I'm really sorry, but we can't. And they see that face. Oh, that face. Once they see that face, you know, there's like a 60% chance that the kid's got a chance to get this thing booked.
Right.
So all you have to do is now the entertainer is selling, maybe discount it a little bit and say, all right, we'll give you 45 minutes. If you want to try to make money at mitzvahs, you have to offer more services. That doesn't mean you have to own the services. You have to offer them. But the only way you're going to be able to offer them is if you have the experience on running them. So you asked me earlier, what are some of the favorite parties I like to work? I like to work the ones where everyone comes out, but everything's got to work. Everything's got to gel. If you go and offer a service and you don't have the experience in running that service or understanding the mentality of that service, you could be in a lot of trouble, because in the Jewish industry of doing mitzvahs, your last party is your reputation. As ridiculous as that sounds. You can do 100 amazing parties, and then something happened with the digital Flomo Bagobo machine, and the mother was all pissed. And that is a viral message that goes out to everybody. So, you know, is it going to happen in the mitzvah industry? Yeah, it can happen in any industry. But
sure.
It's a very tight circle, Jewish community. So you really have to be on your game and know that if there's liability involved, it's part of the statistic of learning. It's a learning curve. Mm-hmm. Next time you do it, you better make sure you do it right.
You're only as good as your last event. How have mitzvahs evolved for you when you plan them out for clients or perform?
I would tell you that the initial booking of a mitzvah can be as far as 3 to 3.5 years from the date, depending on the area that they're in. So if you're in let's say a congested Jewish populated area in New York or New Jersey or Philadelphia, and the synagogue has a tremendous amount of members, hence a tremendous amount of families, hence a lot of kids, then the mitzvah dates to be assigned are going to be further back. So ironically, we have a really nice handful of clients for our 2020 calendar. Right now it's 2017. The calendar doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be planning with these people 3.5 years in advance. They just know that there's two very important variables to secure first. Now, they may get the date. That doesn't mean they're going to secure you right away, or it may. But they know that the venue and the entertainment are two of the biggest variables they know is the success to any party. So if the venue is taking deposits for 2020, they'll accept the contract and deposit, or they may just do a minimal deposit to hold. We do the same thing. Some clients say to me, you know what, Adam, we don't know what we want right now. And honestly, I don't know if you're going to have some amazing entertainer in 2020 that we want. So can we just put a marker for you? And I said, sure. And they give us a smaller deposit. I make a note that we're going to contact them in a year and we're going to do it. And, you know, the whole concept of mitzvahs may change in 3 years. So really to start giving them a contract and having them book all this stuff 3 years in advance could be fine. I mean, you know, some of the concepts that my father taught me in the industry was, you know, don't change the wheel, right? But I always said, you got to have a hotter rim. But the rim is going to change. The rim before was chrome. Now the rim is LED. Who knows what the rim's going to be in 2020? Virtual, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a little different than the wedding market where not all couples understand the value of entertainment, or entertainment isn't as important to them in the whole scheme of things. Whereas for mitzvahs, it sounds like they know and understand that the entertainment is a huge factor in the success of the event.
Well, I think that because, you know, when you're in the wedding market, you're in that like 2-3 year margin where you're going to every friend's weddings. Mitzvahs, they've been going to since they were little. I mean, the little kids go to weddings all the time, mitzvahs all the time, where you don't normally see the little kids always at weddings. They're just too young. Bringing the young kids to a mitzvah is fun because there's a lot of stuff for the kids to do. So they've been trained on what goes on at mitzvahs for a long time.
Right.
When they finally get up to that point, they have a pretty good idea on some of the foundations that they want. Do they want live music?
Right.
Do they want a band or a hybrid of both? Do they want to go away to Israel and shove a note in the wall, say a barucha, and climb Mount Sinai and blow a shofar? Or do they want to, you know, go on a cruise? Or do they want to just have a party hip hop for the kids and maybe just do an afternoon luncheon for the relatives? They kind of have an understanding of what they want, depending on the size of their family or who has to come in. But people that do weddings a year and a half, they have an idea that they want the venue. And I would probably even say that there are a majority of clients that choose photography over the DJ.
Agreed, yes.
You know? So
yes.
they have a photographer, and they have the entertainment, and they have the venue. But the entertainment, they're going to really wind up doing maybe a smaller package to start. But I'll tell you what, and I'm very proud to say this, because the entertainment industry has grown into such a phenomenal entity itself, and because the entertainment industry has also started to adapt and synergize with photography, videography, multimedia, limo and destination management services, offering different types of tuxedo rentals. I mean, they have essentially turned into what? They're event planners now. So when a entertainer, DJ entertainer, live music musician has been out there long enough and has offered a lot of different services, they can offer these options. And the clients who constantly see these options with your brand label on it are going to contact you because they consider you a resource. For example, I just sent out the other day, small little thing of furniture, some uplighting in the room, and a limousine. Nothing to do with DJing, but the client saw me at another event, took my information, called me within a week, booked me, and it had nothing to do with DJing. So it's really going to depend on what the client wants. Mm-hmm. And for DJing, you know, there are some weddings when they're planning that the DJ is still not the main focus. They can literally have the DJ for the ceremony or not. They may have live musicians for the ceremony, or it may be in the church and they have their organist, where it's really not the DJ's responsibility until literally the last couple hours of the affair. The new mentality that I've been trying to teach brides and grooms that have that understanding is that if you kind of just change the timing of things, you can take your party to where you thought it was and just be on a whole different level. And try to explain that to them. Show them that it's a successful formula, like dancing in between food courses, or offering the different services that you offer, and trying not to get the caterers to do one and done, meaning, you know, serve salad, main, dessert within like an hour and a half time. And yeah, but we're giving you 3 hours at the end of the party. Yeah, sure. But by that time, at the very end, you're left with half a party. And that really doesn't do justice for the entertainers. So you want to try to educate. And that's just one of the things I love to do, not just with my colleagues around the country, but I also love to educate my clients as well. And they appreciate that. I'll start that education process from day one when they pick up the phone and they call, or they get me on the internet. I want to start educating them. And why? And this is one of the things that I saw from Mike Walter's seminar. You know, when they turn around and they mention about music, show your educational value about music. Tell them, oh, I love that song. They were great. They wrote this. Some other songs like this are real popular. Like right away, these people say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Or they'll turn around to a DJ and say, well, you know, what do you think of this venue? And let's say the DJ says, I think it would be great if you did this or put this over here. Sometimes the acoustic is a little tough. You may want to add some dampeners in the room. And they'll say, this DJ knows what she's talking about. So
showcasing yourself as the expert.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Yeah, and I want to back up just to a couple things you were talking about before with the planning of couples and or for mitzvahs and market for it, but having those products and services available for them. So when they do get in contact with you, instead of saying, hey, I know somebody that has a dance floor that you could rent and we don't offer it ourselves, but we actually have that. And that makes it less overwhelming too when they need to look at all these different things that they're looking for. So you can make it a reality by offering them yourselves and having them look elsewhere for it.
Again, you're going to now change who you are and your position from DJ to event planner. Okay? The DJ can always send them as a referral to one of the vendors that sells dance floors. Now, you know, I don't know if they have a relationship with the person that rents floors. Some people will offer the discount, a nicer discount to their clients, so the clients feel grateful. And sometimes these clients, you know, the DJs that send them over to this person, that company may give the DJ a kickback. So that's all good. But if you're offering the service, you have to know all about it.
Right.
But answer questions about it. Not just, oh, you know what? That's a really interesting question. I'll get back to you on that.
Right.
That just tells them that you have no idea what you're talking about.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Answer, and then they go and ask another question, and you're asking more questions to this person back and forth, and just it's not comfortable. So you really have to know, if you offer the service, you can still not have to own it. You can have a relationship with this person that will bring out the floor for you. You just got to know what you're talking about. You said dance floor, right? I'll give you the number one question that they ask us, okay? Mm-hmm. They say, okay, we're having 200 people. What size floor do you suggest in this room? Well, first thing you have to know is what room you're in, right? Mm-hmm. And what size floor can it incorporate? And with the tables, of course. And then the second question, obviously, is, do you know the appropriate size for the amount of guests? And then, obviously, there's your fun question. Do you want dark wood grain, light wood grain, black with, you know, little twinkle lights in it? Do you want white? So there's tons of different options that you should know. So if you're an event planner, you got to educate. And to answer your question in the very beginning, you know, when you go from being a DJ to an event planner, that's a good thing. because some of your clients, which is most of my clients, do not want to deal with multiple vendors. If my client flies all over the country and is constantly on the go, they only want to deal with one person. They don't want to deal with a multiple amount of people unless they like to multitask on that situation. There's some people that just like to do it. I happen to have a very large stable of clients that just, they don't necessarily want to deal with all the vendors. That's why they rely on our services, because we will take care of that. That's the definition of an event planner.
Yeah, you're more valuable too, because if they feel that they could hire someone outside as a wedding planner but have that service offered by the entertainment, that's a win-win right there.
Now, that also is a catch-22, because as you're offering these services, you are either owning it or you're referring it to one of your colleagues that offers these services and are booking it through you, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're offering it in-house, obviously you may be burning the bridge with some of the vendors that you used to do business with. So I think one of the biggest gray areas about becoming more of an event planner versus being a DJ is that some of the event planners that used to refer you business may stop doing so, because you're really now stepping on their territory. So
good point.
Yeah, I try to balance it out. I try to, and actually this sounds a little jaded, so forgive me, but
mm-hmm.
We're all friends here. So, if I see a client is going to be, and you can, if you have a lot of experience, you can size up a client right away. If you see a client's going to be more maintenance, is going to require a lot of time, you can either take on that lion and be there for them left and right. And if it's a mitzvah, we're talking 3 years of that, okay? Or you can say, well, I'll tell you what, I would be thrilled to be your entertainer, but what I think you should do is have an event planner that can help you, and I have the greatest person for you, and you refer him to this individual who is just used to dealing with the type of client that requires a lot of maintenance. That doesn't mean that the client has a bad attitude, it just means that, they may, again, be in a lifestyle situation where they're a heart surgeon and they're just constantly in surgery and running around the country and teaching about pulmonary diseases. They just don't have the time. Or their kids are involved in knock hockey, air hockey, field hockey, and dome soccer. And they're running around the state doing all these competitions, and they just don't have time. So it's also going to revolve around how much time you can give your client. So if you just don't have the time to do it, don't just take it for $1, because as I learned many times before, the amount of effort and the amount of time that it's going to take you to deal with this client also has a dollar value. And if you're spending more time than you have with this client, there's two things that are happening. One, you're losing money, and two, you're not being fair to this client. So what's it doing for your reputation? She's going to get pissed because you're not calling her back. You're not giving her the attention you deserve. And you're losing a possible future referral from an event planner.
Right. That's a good point, Adam. You got to balance it out.
Understanding the industry is number one. Understanding the religious value is number one, because booking mitzvahs is best done when you know what you're talking about from a Jewish sense. You want to hear the funniest conversation? When Johnny K from Pure Entertainment in Massachusetts, and when Johnny K was learning about doing mitzvahs, and this was eons ago, because now he's considered to be a very large mentor in understanding it, but he used to call me all the time, and he used to say, "What's a shablechalach?" And he would ask some crazy word, and I would have to sit here and try to decipher just what the hell he's talking about. And I would educate him, and we would get into conversations so he can understand.
Okay.
Understand the holidays. You know, so let's say if you have a potential client and it happens to be right before, like right now, like you were talking about the things that I do on Wednesdays, my Facebook post. So I'm just going to do a little plug here. So today at 3:30, I'm going to be doing an In the Line, and I'm going to be teaching about the calls of the shofar, which is your modern day bugle, okay, of being able to sound this horn, which is religiously done during the High Holy Days, which is coming up. So if you happen to be talking to a potential mitzvah now, wishing them a Happy New Year by saying Good Yontif, or by saying Lashana Tova, which are common phrases on wishing people a Happy New Year, right away earns you buku points.
Right. Okay.
But you got to understand your industry. Forget all this chazarai. Forget all this stuff that you see at the conventions. You could buy the LED things. You can have Cirque du Soleil drop from the ceiling. I understand all this is great and it's overwhelming and you can learn about it. So start simple. You start with great DJ package, work out something that kids would like with the DJ package, like a few LED stages. Make sure you drape your stuff up really cool. I think that's something that all the DJs can do. That's how you begin. Your packages can be simple. Offer your photo booths options to them. Party tchotchkes that you can get from companies like Sherman Novelty. You can try to do things that they want. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get the lion client right away. You got to start small. You start taking on someone that wants to spend 6 figures at a party and wants to book everything from you. You could really screw up your business, let alone one job. So learn the industry. Learn the religious portions about it. Doesn't mean you have to speak Hebrew. Okay? What it means is you have to understand what they understand from a general sense. Shabbat. Okay? That's most of the gigs you're going to be doing. You won't be doing a ton of mitzvahs in probably 3/4 of the synagogues because Shabbat during the day, they don't allow that. Some do. So you got to understand the difference between Orthodox and conservative Judaism versus Reform. Then there's learning about what would be appropriate for what kind of families. You can see a family would be more interested in just having the DJ and some fun things for the kids. Mm-hmm. And you can offer it a competitive rate because you're just getting involved, which is good because then you have these other companies like myself that's been out there for years. We have larger overheads, so our numbers are going to be a little higher. Our talent is going to be a little bit more seasoned because we've been doing a lot. But you can be a very competitive variable in this circuit. You just got to educate yourself, and I would be happy to do that for you.
So, Adam, have you put together any DVDs or professional development materials to help assist DJs, or?
That is probably. I'll tell you, that's probably what. It's funny. It's one of the most common things I hear when I go to the conventions and I teach. Is there anything that you offer from an educational basis? Now, there's 2 things that I will tell you. One, it's probably something that I've been meaning to do, mm-hmm. And that I am going to be planning to do. I certainly find it to be the most flattering compliment when people ask me to put out something educational because they really, they like to hone in what experiences I've had in the industry. And the second thing is that, consulting is also very important, but I feel that consulting can be done on a couple levels. And that is to actually fly out or drive out to a location in someone's business or create a smaller conference with the businesses in that area and educate all of them. Mm-hmm. So things that are definitely going to be coming up in my personal world of Adam Weitz's madness. And I think that people will enjoy it. I have a little bit more time than I used to than with the mitzvahs. I have my MCs a lot younger. Their butts are a lot cuter. Male butts. I'm not going to say the female because that would be okay. Overall. But the they're younger. The girls and boys think they're cute. They got like this youthful energy, but I train them very hard. So they know at a younger age the do's and don'ts of being on that microphone, which is a very powerful position. And then the DJs and their responsibility, not just what to play, but when to play it. Not just what to play, but what version to play. And then, of course, all the entities that come with mitzvahs. But now that Adam Weitz is a little bit older, I have a specific genre of clients that I entertain. And that also allows me to be the freedom of raising two beautiful young ladies, my daughters, Liana and Jasmine. And I get to be there a little bit more to watch them grow. I think that's one of the things that a lot of DJs have to remember, is that, you know, they're only young once, and the values that you can imprint on children is very important. So while all that's going on, I can develop other things, which is educational programming.
Awesome. Adam, what's the best way for DJs and MCs to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always email me at adam@asharpproduction.com. You know, maybe you'll throw a little link in there so they can see it. My direct line is 215-938-7738. And of course, I'm also on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Snapchat. So you can get me any way you need to.
Cool. Adam, thank you so much. It was an honor talking to you and actually seeing you this way virtually. You know, not being able to meet you in person, but someday soon, I hope. Stay tuned next time for episode 26. Thanks again, Adam, and take care, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.